Good evening. I'm Jonathan Sparks, and I'm here to talk to you tonight about the First Amendment. The First Amendment of the Constitution outlines several of the rights which American citizens are supposed to enjoy. It is, like other amendments in the Bill of Rights, a limitation on the power of government. The First Amendment covers four distinct types of freedom: the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and the right to assembly. Now, this presentation is going to be all about the freedom of religion, and I'm going to talk about the boundaries set by the amendment itself as it was written originally, before I dive into the way it has been interpreted over the years. First of all, let's read the amendment. It says, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof." It goes on to say some other stuff about freedom of speech, the press, and everything else. But you've got the gist of what we're talking about, what we're focused on with this message. Simply put, that says Congress is forbidden from declaring an official state religion, and it may not interfere with free practice of religion. That's a big statement. It's a mouthful, and I'd like to break it up, to make sure that everything is crystal clear. It's limiting Congress and only Congress from the described actions. Okay? The president is not mentioned because he can't even make laws. The Supreme Court also can't make laws. It does not restrict the states or even private citizens from making those kinds of rules within their jurisdictions. For example, Massachusetts was an officially declared Congregationalist state up until the 1830s. That was the official state religion in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. They had the authority to declare that, and it was done. More on that as we go into interpretation. If I want to declare that everybody in my home has to pray to Optimus Prime, okay, I'm within the limits of the Constitution. That is within it. This home is within my sort of jurisdiction. I can declare these things. So now that we've discussed whose actions are limited by the First Amendment, let's talk about what they can't do. They can't make any laws respecting an establishment of religion. That is to say, they can't pass a bill that says one religion is right and true and that all the others are false. Okay? They're allowed to believe, the individuals are allowed to believe anything their hearts are convicted of, but they can't make a law about it. This is done mostly to prevent the nation's governing body from engaging in the kind of religious allegiances that led to warfare and persecution witnessed in Europe, and that was still fresh on the minds of the founders. It also says that Congress is not allowed to make any law that prohibits the free practice of religion. So if Congress wants to pass a bill, if they want to pick on the Lutherans, for example, and say, hey, they've got to pay a $20 fine before going into their church, that's not allowed. Whether they, it doesn't matter what kind of reputation Lutherans have, how many people dislike them, it's illegal for them to pick on any particular group in that fashion. The goal here is just to make sure that people are able to pray and worship in the way that most agrees with their conscience and beliefs. So there it is. The basic freedom of religion clause in the First Amendment. Congress can't say whose church is right, and they can't stop people from worshiping the way they think is true. Now, over the years, since it was adopted, this part of the First Amendment has gotten a good bit of attention. Okay, some clarification has happened, and it started with Thomas Jefferson. Okay, the ink was still wet, and he tells the Danbury Baptists, hey, the First Amendment builds a wall of separation between church and state, and it's been used a lot in later years. There are lots of scenarios you can imagine where freedom of religion, the practice of religion, or religious practice actually challenges the order, and it's come up in cases with polygamy, like with Reynolds versus United States and Everson versus Board of Education. In these cases, there has been an erosion of the First Amendment right to practice religion. That's all I've got time for. Thank you very much. Good night.